All right, welcome back, kings and queens. Super excited that you're here. You want to use CEO of Great Yell, and welcome back. And I wanted to let you know it's Monday. Happy Monday. Super excited that you're here. I'm excited for this, man. And how was your weekend? Did you have fun? Like, did you go anywhere? Did you have a great time? Did you eat something amazing? Did you spend time with your loved ones, your family? Did you go on dates? Like, what did you do over the weekend? I'm going to be talking about what happened my weekend. Melanites Comics, thank you so much for joining, King. Oh, man. And this topic today is going to be really great. We're going to be talking about the power in proximity. But just, let me know in the chats, in the comments, what you're up to this weekend. Did you have a good time? Did you have fun? And letting you know again, we are live on Instagram as well as YouTube. So as you're on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, share, get the stream on, let everybody know how it's going. All D Smoke, thank you for joining. Author Brian Lambert, thank you so much for joining. Yes, so how was you guys' weekend? I hope you had an amazing time. And this weekend for me was phenomenal because it ties into the topic today, the power in proximity. So again, if you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share. We're going to be getting into it right now. So again, proximity, what is that? So from graphic design, I learned proximity, and from that point, it changed everything for me. Basically, proximity is how close things are. Like things that are similar should be close together. In other words, the power of community, the power of getting to meet people in person. This weekend was the Schaumburg Black Comic Book Festival. And if you know how incredible that is as a creator, as a black creator, as a black author, as a black mangaka, as a black Afrofuturism speculative fiction writer, it is amazing. If you're ever in the New York area, you have to check it out. Like they have over 11 million items that talk about African culture and black excellence all throughout the diaspora as well as in the actual countries within Africa. Lord D. Francois, thank you so much for joining. The reason why that was so amazing is that the Schaumburg is literally like peak excellence when it comes to black creativity and so much. Like the Black Comic Book Festival is incredible to me because of the fact of what it symbolizes. Sometimes when you look at manga and when we look at the media, you get one perception of what it is to actually be either of African descendants or heritage or actual culture. But when you go to the Schaumburg, it's like you're just surrounded by black excellence. Like you go in, you see the gift shop, you go in, you see the auditoriums, they named them after Langston Hughes and all these other amazing creatives. Like, in fact, I think there's a cosmograph and Langston Hughes, his ashes are buried under it. So it's just like you're just stepping in greatness. And when you hear the panels that they have, when you see the creators, like when I went for the Afrofuturism discussion. They were basically talking about where Afrofuturism is and where it's going. And it's amazing. It's really amazing. And it literally ties into, again, the power in proximity. I went to the Schaumburg back in 2020. Yeah, not the part where it was crazy what happened in 2020, but right before then, January, February time. That was the first comic book festival I went to, and it was phenomenal. Like, that was right before BOLDSAGA. And just so that you know, if you're new to this channel, if you're new to this live, and you want to use the manga of BOLDSAGA, we have 4 chapters available, physical and digital, all about Afrofuturism and empowering our kings and queens to seize greatness. So right before I finished it, I went to the Schaumburg Black Comic Book Festival. All around 215 artists, thank you so much for joining. And it was just great to me because of the fact that I had never seen so many black creative people all in one place with their own stories. It was Tuskegee Airs back then, Wash Day, they were there, Black Sands was there. Who else was there? Oh my gosh, there was this other company that made things on comic books. Watcher Series, thank you so much for joining. It was just black excellence and black excellence and black excellence. And just seeing all these creators make their own stories, I was like, wow, God, I know I can do this with Bold Saga. I'm so close. I'm so close. So after 2020, they've been like shut down and they've been doing it virtually. But let me tell you, you have to be in the room, the power and proximity. So just being there was just phenomenal. In fact, the last time I was there, Aletha Martinez and I forgot his name, and Tim Fielder, there were these other creatives, and she mentioned something that stood out to me. She was like, if you want to hunt, you have to look how the big dogs hunt. And she was getting into the aspect of owning your own creativity, not just like drawing and making art and putting it on webtoons and all that type of stuff just to get likes and views and things of that nature, but actually owning the process so that people don't just, use you and then stress you out and push you all the way and then you're just exhausted. All around 215 artists at any time, appreciate the excellent work you put out. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. It really means a lot because, like, I remember when BOLDSAGA was just an idea. Like, I don't know if you ever had just that idea that's just burning inside you and you have to release it and then you actually get it done. That's what it feels like with BOLDSAGA. It's a dream come true. And the reason why this is magnificent is that there were just so many incredible people. Like, the Afrofuturism panel to me was my favorite one. Not just because of the fact I'm an Afrofuturist mangaka, but just fact of what they were talking about. They were explaining what Afrofuturism stands for, and let me tell you, it was so deep. It went like this, then this, then this. It was so, because the reason why that was magnificent is that Yatasha Womack was in the room. She was actually in the building. This is the queen, the black queen who actually wrote the book on Afrofuturism. So much so that she wrote it before Black Panther came out. I think 3 to 4 or 5 years before. So it's like you'll see so much culture in it, man. Like, oh my gosh. And again, the panel was Black in the Future, Afrofuturism in Comics and Graphic Novels. So there's Ayize Jama Everett, he was there. John Jennings, he was there. Tim Fielder, he was there. And the lady I was telling you about, the Black Queen, Natasha Womack. So all these kings and queens talking about Afrofuturism, about comics. It was basically a conversation highlighting the powerful relationship between Afrofuturism, comics, and graphic novels. And again, these people were excellent at what they do. It's not just the fact that they're creatives, but they're like high level, high thinking, critical thinking creatives. Like John Jennings, if I'm not mistaken, is a Harvard fellow. He teaches on this stuff. Tim Fielder has like years of experience. He did Maddie's Rockin' the Infinitum. Ayize Jama Everett, he did The Last Count of Monte Cristo. It looks phenomenal. And again, Yatasha wrote the book on Afrofuturism and she's doing other graphic novels and other things. So this ties back into what I was mentioning before, the power in proximity. Because when I was getting into BOLDSAGA, these are the people who I would look up to or look at their content to learn more about it. Like when Natasha basically said Afrofuturism at its core is um, African culture, and then wrapped around it liberation, emancipation, mysticism, expressiveness, I think, and there's some other aspect. Photos by Mildor, thank you so much for joining. Just talking about the power in proximity. And the reason why you need to have things like this is that when you're in the room with great people, you can learn so much from them and glean so much from them. In 1 hour, I was able to hear them talk about 10, 20, 30, 40 years plus worth of experience, all in one room, all in one time. So it's so incredible to just learn from great people who are great at what they do. I'm telling you. You just had to be there. And this is why I'm letting everyone know there's power in proximity. And again, proximity is basically when things that are similar are together. They're not like far apart, they're together. You don't want to just be far apart from what you're doing. You want to be as close as possible to what it is that you're doing, as close as possible to your target audience. JT Arts 89, thank you so much for joining. The way I see power and proximity is the same thing like church. When you go to church, yes, we are the church, but when you go to church, to the building, and actually have the fellowship with the people, it changes everything. Whether that's in the building or at a park or wherever you meet up and have church, like that's the same thing. Just like if you had a club, and you meet together, or an organization, or a mastermind, or a group, all that type of stuff is important because we need community as people. It's not good for people to be alone. Like you need to be around your people. So that's what I'm talking about today. There's so much power in it. And that was just the first half. And the best part and why this was so special to me is that Schaumburg had been shut down physically for years. After what happened in 2020, it had been shut down from then up until this year. So this is the first time they're opening back up to the public. And years ago prior, when I went to the Schaumburg, I asked a question, and it was a panel with T.J. Sterling, the lady who created Wash Day, I forgot her name, Dendrid Scene, and some other people. And I'd asked them about manga. Scribblemonk006, thank you so much for joining. I had asked them a question about manga, and it was so incredible to hear their experience and their response because I was like trying to surmise it. I'm a mangaka, aspiring mangaka. What experience do you have, or advice do you have? Paraphrasing it. And they were like, oh my gosh, you're a mangaka. I love manga. So it's just years later in the Afrofuturism panel, I asked the question and basically said, "Thank you so much, Yatasha, Tim, and John. You guys inspired me to become the Afrofuturist mangaka for BOLDSAGA, Brave Onwards Limit Destroyer." And I asked them, what do they think is the best way to showcase Afrofuturism in manga, as well as where do they see it going forward? Thank you so much for joining, King. I'm super excited that you're here. Say cheese, um, Vusa, thank you so much for joining. Talking about the power and proximity. I'm doing great. How are you doing today? I'm super excited because it's Monday. Thank God it's Monday, getting back to the dream, back to the goal. And the reason why that was incredible is Tim gave me some sage wisdom. He literally said, "You have to finish what you start." This is the power and proximity. You got to finish what you start. Don't just talk about it. Don't just have all the ideas and just put it out for people to see. Don't just put all your OCs on the internet and say, "This is my OC," and look at how they do this and that and have hundreds of drawings on them. Finish what you start. Get your ideas in tangible format in books. Protect the books. Protect the idea. Don't just get the bag and secure the bag. Protect the bag, the intellectual bag, the IP bag, the creativity bag, all of that. All of that is important. So again, you have to get in the room. The power and proximity. Get to actual events. Go in person. Online is great. It's great. I love being able to have discussions with you, kings and queens, having lives with you, and all of that. But I'm telling you, if we meet in person, face to face, 10x, 200x better. Being in person and you being able to talk to people and just being able to see them, especially when you're in the same creative space, it's incredible. And then on top of being able to be in the room, learning from Afrofuturists, kings and queens who have done this for years, decades, they're experts, high level experts. Even Tim Fielder said Afrofuturism is literally what is defined between these kings and queens, which is John Jennings and Natasha Womack. Like they're the best of the best, in my opinion, explaining, expressing it, and showcasing it. That was just the first half. The second half was creators that I'd seen online were at the Schaumburg Black Comic Book Festival. So what do I mean? Cerise Ray Murphy was there. AJ Ampadu was there. Who else was there? Um, Tony Weaver Jr. was there. Like this was so incredible to me because like I've seen these people online. Deli G, thank you so much for joining, Queen. We're talking about the power and proximity. The reason why it's so incredible is that these are people who I've seen online for so long. And you know what the best part about meeting all these kings and queens were? It was even greater meeting them in person than just meeting them online. Like they're just as nice, just as cool, just as amazing meeting them in person as it is online. Because sometimes when you see people online, you get to know them, but sometimes in the back of your mind, we can all have this suspicion of, is this actually who you are? And I'm grateful to say all these kings and queens I've seen online, they are who they say they are. Meeting them in person, it's a relief. Because sometimes we have this mentality of, there's a phrase, never meet your heroes. I'm telling you, I'm grateful I met my heroes. Like, for example, Cerise Ronnie Murphy. She's the creator of Virtuous Con, and she also made this book, which is Ellis and the Cloud Kingdom. So she's the author of this book. She's the author of The Wolf Queen. She has other books that she's created. And on top of that, she made Virtuous Con. And what is that? The number one black comic book and sci-fi experience in a virtual convention. Black Beauty 3290. Thank you so much for joining, Michelle. We talking about the power and proximity. And I just want to let you know, like, you have to be in the room, man. Like, meeting these people in person, it's amazing. And Virtuous Con to me stood out because when the pandemic happened and everything shut down, I'm like, I've been working all my life to get Bold Saga done. What event was this and when does it take place? So the event I was talking about is called the Schaumburg Black Comic Book Festival. It happens in New York, and it happens through the year. It's generally in January, but sometimes they move it into April. And it's in New York in the Schaumburg. What is the name of the actual building? It's the Schaumburg Society. What's the actual name? Schaumburg Center for Research in Black Culture. That alone tells you everything you need to know. They have 11 million items on African culture. 11 million! It's phenomenal. Like it's just so incredible because when you're exposed to that much black excellence, it's just like we were able to achieve all of this, all of this. Like I literally saw a book, something about the Invisible Men, and they literally had in it all Negro comics. The, oh my gosh! Like if you ever look up who they are, that will just shock you. But surmising it, All Negro Comics, to a degree, was possibly the first comic book series anthology centering on African culture created by African people. Oh wow, I'm gonna have to get to that next year. I'm telling you, you have to be there. I highly encourage it. Check it out. Watch the replays. What I do like about Shomwork is if you go to, let me put it in the chat, shomcom, what is this, .org, you can literally rewatch it. Any event that happened in the past? Yes, all Negro comics, man. Lion Man, Ace Harlem, Oh my gosh. It's just great. It's great to see that we created so many heroes in the past that we don't just have to look up to the Black Panthers and, the Spawns and all these other heroes, Luke Cage and all that. We had other heroes prior to that who created all of this amazingness. The For Us by Us really did it. Really did it. It's so sad that they never got a second issue, but the benefit is we can learn from that past so we can create a brighter future, which is Afrofuturism. Oh my gosh, when they were expressing it, it was beautiful. It was, it was very academic as well. So I'm trying to simplify it. Something about time dilation and the fact that you're expressing something from the past, learning from the past, qualifying it in the present, and then showcasing the beauty of it into the future. Like Tim Fielder, he was explaining that his grandmother literally was who inspired him to make Maddie's rocket, which would be retro Afrofuturism. And he said, "What is Afrofuturism? Negroes in spaceships," where the black main character doesn't die, or the black character doesn't die in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, where they don't get killed so that the white hero can have a righteous vitriol and just go off and go crazy, where they're actually celebrating their culture. And Negroes in spaceships, whereas Itachi was getting into the aspect of, you know, you don't exactly know when it's happening because you're learning from the beauty of the past, but you're also seeing the incredibleness of the future. So you have to like realize, where is this? It's to a degree Afro surrealism, or astro surrealism, where it's not exactly the past, not exactly the present, but it's like another world. Which is why I love this type of story, because when you have Afrofuturism, you don't have to spend time talking about, oh, slave traveling, oh, all the, Jim Crow era and all of this, negativity and stress. While these things happen, and while it is true that you do need to know your history, you do not need to obsess over the negative parts of it to bring you down, to bring down your group esteem. That's why I love Afrofuturism, because then you can talk about the Dogon, you can talk about African kingdoms like the Mutapa Empire, King Aizana of Aksum, all of these amazing kingdoms, Kingdom of Benin, Songhai, what is it? The Zimbabwe kingdom, all these kingdoms and empires and all these people, they existed. It's not just Egypt. That's why I love Afrofuturism. Like, you get to see the full spectrum. You even get to learn about people like the Ainu, all these people that are on different parts, not just in the continent of Africa, not just in the actual nations of Africa, because Africa, as we know, it's not just some other thing. It's not just one big location as one country. It's everything. It's everything. Past, present, future. And Scribblemunk006 says, we exist in the future we create. I will say that again, kings and queens, because he's so right. We exist in a future that we create. We don't just have to accept this type of creator's representation of who we are. Although they did it, that's not it. We don't have to accept this type of creator's representation of who we are, or even this type of creator's representation of who we are. We don't have to be Piccolo. We don't have to be Mr. Popo. We don't have to be Killer Bee. We can be who we want to be. We can be who we deserve to be. We can be who we shall be, and honor that. That's why we did things like this. BOLDSAGA, Alice in the Cloud Kingdom, even like, Acolyte. All these creatives. All of these creatives. Look at that. Look at that. Bam. Ooh, jeez. Bam. You know, all of these creatives. This is 2052, Time and Salvation, Jason Michael Primrose. Like, we need to see this. It's not just Egypt. Thank you. Like, literally, the last event that I went to when I was talking about BOLDSAGA, I was expressing, this is BOLDSAGA. It's Afrofuturism manga, empowering kings and queens to seize greatness. Like, literally, that's what we stand for. And then the first thing someone asked me was, that's great and all, but do you have Egypt and do you have hieroglyphics? And I said, while that may be present in this story, we don't just only center on that. We talk about the actual languages inside of the nation that the story is based on. Isi Osa, Khoi, Zulu. There's actually Caribbean representation in Bold Saga. So I'm Antiguan, love the Caribbean. There's actually Antiguan dialect, Haitian patois, Jamaican Creole. So all of these types of things all of these types of things are actually in the story, and not just the words, not just the languages, but the food. So they're literally eating like dirigeon with grill. They're actually eating ackee and saltfish. Jollof rice and suya chicken. Like it's actual culture. Shishanyama. They actually doing the dances. The guada guada, jadu salema. Like it's actually there. Even the martial arts, because sometimes we get this mentality, and I know manga is critical for this. They will give their Japanese or European characters African martial arts and give the African characters something else. Perfect example, Sanji doing capoeira but not Usopp. What? Why didn't Usopp do lamb? Why didn't he do Musangwe? Like, but hey, that's one creator's perception of us. But that's not what we have to be. See, when you understand culture, perfect example, the Drums of Liberation. Look up the actual book and then look at One Piece and you'll see what I'm talking about. But when you understand the history, the culture, and then you understand where the stories are going, you realize, wow, they're just literally taking our African culture and giving it to their heroes and then not showing us with that. Perfect example, Superman with Raoul, and then you look at where they get that from. It's simple. It's very simple. Wow, give the black characters African martial arts by Deli G. That's what she said, as well as, yep, we do not have to accept what they give us. Exactly. Exactly. Like that's why I got, annoyed with it. I was tired of just seeing it in manga and anime. So I was like, you know what? They're not going to represent us properly. So I did it. So you literally see them with the actual poses, the actual, assegai and the cowhide shield, the capoeira poses, all of that. Because sometimes we keep thinking that, oh, African people don't have this or they don't have that, blah blah blah. Like literally in chapter one of Bold Saga, not kung fu, not karate, nguni stick fighting, nguni stick fighting. That's an actual martial art that Zulu warriors used to practice before they get the cowhide shield and the assegai and the actual Ikloa. Like that's what made Shaka Zulu so successful. When they used the Ikloa, it changed everything from military strategy because they are borrowing culture, not living it like K-pop. I'm telling you. When someone just borrows the culture, it's you can only go but so far. And Deli G said, "Love that shield. Thank you so much, Queen, and thank you so much, King." Like this is why we do this stuff because we need to see ourselves represented. It's nice, and that's what people were Ayize was talking about. His parents didn't like him getting into comic books because back then his parents were like basically, oh, you like these superheroes, but is there Black Superman? And he was like, give it time, give it time. But his parents had a point, like you are what you behold. You become what you behold. So if you only see, and this is a perfect example, when I was a kid, I didn't see heroes that look like this. So when I drew myself as a manga character, I had spiky hair, I had no melanin, and I had a sharp nose, and I had cat ears. I'm like, as an adult looking back, I'm like, that's kind of sad because I didn't see myself in the characters. I didn't give myself textured hair or like, shading to actually give myself the melanin and skin tone. The lips were thin, not like full expressive lips. I was like, but why? Why wouldn't I do that? See, this is why perception creates reality. What you are is what you actually intake. So the media you watch, this is why it's so important that you need Afrofuturism in your manga, authentic Black representation in your stories. Why? Because otherwise, you'll just end up with creators who have their own agendas and their own storylines and their own way that they want to perceive African culture, which is what they want to do. It's their story. But at the end of the day, it's either you just tell them to change or you do the change yourself. And that's why I love what Ayize had on his shirt. He literally was wearing a shirt that said, at a table of our own. That's where you got to be kings and queens. Remember, we talked about the power and proximity? That's why you have to be at a table of your own. Don't just try and, grab a chair and jump onto someone else's table. If they don't want you there, that's fine. That's totally fine. Why? Because you can make your own table. That's why I love this story. And that's why I love this generation that we're in right now because you can create what you want. Literally. You can have a table before you in the presence of your enemies, in the presence of people who don't even like your people or your culture. That's fine because you know what? This world does not move without Black creativity. Melissa Kimbrell. This world does not move without Black creativity. What does that mean? Literally, African people that make manga pop, as well as everything else that's cool in this world. Like I love what Isaac Hayes III said. He said, "There's nothing on this planet that's cooler than an African man and African woman. Nothing on this planet. Whether you're in the actual nations of Africa, the actual countries, or if you're in the diaspora, there's nothing cooler. There's nothing cooler. There's nothing cooler." So instead of just knowing how cool we are and just subjecting ourselves to being, the cannon fodder or the first character that dies or, a scared ninja or I'm a rapping ninja or a scared pirate or a slave or some foolishness, we can just celebrate who we are because we have a history of greatness, a legacy of greatness. Just so much. Like, for example, when I was doing my research, I found out the longest wall that was ever created is not the Great Wall of China, it's in Africa. If I'm not mistaken, it's the Great Wall of Zimbabwe. So long, so much bigger, so much greater. But why don't we know this? Why does it have to do research in a book that because when I did BOLDSAGA, I do research. That's what makes this story authentic. 20 months to release it. This book, the first one. Why? Because otherwise, I just be checking the box of they're a black character, but they're not actually connected to a culture. And Deli G said, "Borrowing culture is such a nice, respectful way to say it." Exactly, exactly. I'm trying my best to be respectful. Even if you don't respect me, I respect you out of the fact it's human decency because that's it. Even if you don't respect me, I respect you to a degree, to a degree, to a degree. Never heard of the Great Wall of Zimbabwe. I'm telling you, there's so many like amazing, creative things that are out there, but they're in history books. And what I love about it is that the more you study, the more you find out, the more you're like, wow, they know that. They know that. That's why they take it and think it's cool. Exactly. They know how incredible our culture is. Peter built Finesse Studio. Thank you so much for joining. Super excited that you're here. I was even listening about the Hadza people yesterday. I don't know if you ever heard about them, but check them out. The Hadza people in Tanzania. Just listening to people talking about it, how they're so in tune with nature, like they'll whistle to the birds and then the birds will whistle back and tell them where the honey is. Like they're so entrenched in living in their culture, living in nature, so close to it that they have like epochs of time and they know exactly from their own oral history and story how they came to be. They literally can run for hours on end. Brother, this is powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you, the Watcher series. It really means a lot. And check out his comic. It's super incredible. It's Christian. It's faith based. It's magnificent. Artwork, storyline. Again, the Watcher series. Check him out on IG. Check out his comics. Get them. Super art. Super incredible. Super awesome. And it's just so amazing because like you actually see these people, like they're saying the Hadza people, and you can actually see it. They're all so fit, they can run for hours on end to get to their goal because they're hunter-gathering types, They even like live in nature. It's so incredible. Ebenezer Digital, thank you so much for joining. So like you can literally, and this is why I love stories and creativity, because there's so many kingdoms and so many people. These Bantu, if I'm not mistaken, the Hadza people are Bantu because of the way how they speak. It's like the clicks. And what I like about Bold Saga, if you're ever interested in learning more about African languages at Eastern Ulsa, we actually show you in Bold Saga. What do I mean by that? Well, I don't just want to say this as African languages, like literally. Learn, X, click. And then we're literally showing you the actual clicks in Eastern Ulsa. Like we need that because it's one thing to say speaks Eastern Ulsa. Like how these people have movies and they'll be like speaks Japanese or speaks Spanish. Okay, but we're speaking English and you have English subtitles. Translate everything. So that's what I do in Bold Saga. So you will actually see like when they're speaking, Jamaican patois or Antiguan dialect. I'm actually translating it. Why? Because I want everyone to have a great experience. I don't want there to be many language barriers. In fact, I would rather there be no language barriers. So you see, like, there's literally a part in Bold Saga where they're like, Wagwan boss. And he's literally saying right there, me just a cool out. And I'm translating it. And then after that, he's like, Mad Hat Cousin Pass now make can finally enter star. Like, that's literally in the book. Literally in the book. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then in chapter 3, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite parts of chapter 3. There's literally a DJ. What is the DJ's name? If you're Caribbean, we have heard of it before. Morfire. DJ Morfire 1. So They're literally having a party and a celebration. You see, Lalo celebration, and then you actually see like the actual horns pulling up. Because when I was in the Caribbean, I remember that they had the pull-up selector. I forgot what the station was in Antigua that I used to listen to. But yeah, like you'd be able to actually feel it. Like my friend, this king named Jamal, he said that out of all the chapters of Bold Saga, 3 is his favorite because he felt like he was actually at Antigua Recreation Ground, which is like basically one of the major areas where they have like events, concerts and all of that. I literally infuse it into the story because we aren't just incredible, because you know how they have it, strong black woman, brute if they're African character, that's big and strong, like Darkshine and One Punch Man, who's a Japanese man who exercised so much he turned black. Anyway, the point is, we don't have to just subject ourselves to just the brute or the strong character. There's so many intellectuals that come out of the actual African heritage of the people. Great orators, great thinkers, great strategists. There's so many of them. So it's just we need to see more of that, like Hannibal of Carthage. Like we need to see more of that, like intellectual thinkers like Shaka Zulu. That's why the first thing you see in Bold Saga is Shaka Zulu, the first Anansi. So there's African mythology, African history, because we need that. There's power in proximity. There's power in when you're close as a person to your culture. This is the reason why manga is one of the best-selling forms of comics to date and one of the best-selling forms of media, because it's tied to its culture and it's tied to the culture of whoever is actually getting into it. Perfect example, Vinland Saga. Love it. I love Vinland Saga. No, I am not Norse, and no, I have never gone to well, America is Vinland in the storyline, but not to the actual Norway or any of those other places like England. But I can understand where the story is coming from. Same thing like The Last Kingdom. Now, a new part of The Last Kingdom just came out, and I'm not going to tell you what happened. I'd rather you watch it for yourself. Peak story writing. If you ever want to see incredible, like medieval story, The Last Kingdom. And if you want to see Christian values in a TV show, The Last Kingdom. Like authentic representation in that aspect, in regard to the best of their ability. Like we need more stories and things that are tied into a type of reality, even though it's entertainment, because we need to be empowered. Like so many of our shows, like be bringing us down. Like I remember watching with my wife yesterday, Love Is Blind season 4, the live reunion. It was okay. It was all right, but it's reality TV. I'd rather have culture. That's just me personally. Like those shows are okay, they're nice, they're kind of mindless, but we need things that are more culture, more incredible. Like when you see all of these incredible things that are connected to a culture, connected to a people, it's inspiring. It's and like perfect example. If you've never seen this before, this is called an adinkra. If you've ever seen these before, what I love about Bold Saga is that these are all throughout the story. This one is Fahodie, which literally means emancipation, independence, freedom. That's just one symbol. There's 100+ symbols, and each one of these symbols has their own meaning. They have their own connection to the culture. It's an aphorism. It's a concept. So they're basically, in my opinion, like logos, like really cool, really compact logos. And not only are they logos, not only do they have concepts, they're actual language. So you can actually write with it as well. So it's like a language on top of a language, on top of a number system, on top of an aphorism, on top of a concept, on top of a quantum mechanical numerical structure. This was done by African people hundreds of years ago, not last year, hundreds of years ago. Like even to the fact they talk about, and I read this recently in Afrofuturism, the book that was written by Yatasha Womack. She was talking about the Dogon people. If you ever look them up, amazing. People like them and other kingdoms and people in Africa were able to do astronomy and be able to calculate where the stars would be in the sky and be able to calculate the seasons and times and change up the seasons, all without the modern technology that we have today. And they were accurate back then. So it's just like the level of intelligence, the level of wisdom, the level of knowledge you have to be able to calculate all of that back then. And they would say it's like a crude technology. Or one thing they love to say is when it comes to African greatness and creativity, oh, it had to be aliens, or, there's like ancient aliens and all this other foolishness where they just can't believe African people could do that. Well, the best part about all of that is we are great. We don't have to have someone else try and comprehend why we're great. We are great because we're made in the image of God, just like everyone else, but we have God with us. And what I love about it is that culturally speaking, we have something different. Just like every culture has something that's special to them, we have something different that's special to us. And what I need us to see is more of that. Not because we don't see it, but because it's not showcased authentically. Too many times we get caught up in these revisions of stories where they'll take a pre-existing white character and then they'll just re-swap them. Looking at Velma, looking at I would say the Little Mermaid, but if you really went back in time, you realize the Little Mermaid is from Mami Wata, so it's African, so it's kind of like going back to its origin. So Little Mermaid kind of get out of that, but we need to see more of that. And Deli G said aliens, they really be saying that jive. I'm telling you, like we can't just be incredible, like we can't just be amazing. It had to be aliens to help us. Come on, man. Come on, man. We're better than that. Feel like Rocky when he was basically talking to his son. He's like, we're better than that. Like we'd have to realize that. Even in movies, like what was I watching? There was a movie and they were going from place to place to place. I think it was either Sonic or some other movie I was watching. And when they finally reached Egypt, they blew up the pyramids. What movie was it? I don't remember anymore. It's just like, come on, man. Come on, man. Not that I'm saying Egypt is like the most magnificent thing and there's no other culture, but the fact you disrespected to destroy it, like you wouldn't want to see someone just destroy Torii Gate or Kyoto or things like that. But hey, at the end of the day, the creation will always be in the way that the creator wanted it to be. So we have to get to the point of being creators, which is the great thing about what we do. And again, we mentioned there's power in proximity. Blew up the pyramids? Yes. I forgot it was either Sonic or some animated movie. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. They're teleporting from place to place. And when they got to Egypt, they destroyed the pyramids and then just kept fighting. I'm like, it's all right. It's all right. I think they destroyed some other places as well, so it'd be like they destroyed I think London Tower and then the pyramids and other stuff. So no one can say we're being bad-minded to one people. But it's okay though. You know why? Because if that's the type of respect you want to show to our culture, that's fine. We'll just show more respect to our own. Because we don't, as my mentor always says, we don't need them, they need us. Remember, what I love about the black dollar is that even though it circulates within the actual, African American economy for like maybe 6 hours, we have the spending power of nations. Yes, African people that are actually in America have the spending power of other nations because of the fact how much we buy into other things. But we have to get to the point of not just being consumers, but producers who consume what we create. In other words, prosumers. We have to get to that level. That's why I love things like the 15% pledge and other things like that because we need to actually create, not just enjoy our stuff, but create. And Daily G says, oh, okay, rolls eyes, right? We can show more respect to ourselves. I know that's right. They need us. We ain't never needed them. Exactly. Exactly. Look at the fact that when you go back in time and you realize, even though they try and say Europe and all these amazing people are so great, so incredible, the further back you go, the more you'll realize it was the African people that modernized Europe, that gave them civilizations, that gave them wisdom. Even when you look at all of these amazing, great thinkers, where did they go to learn? They went to Africa. They went to actual nations in Africa to learn. So it's just funny that years later, after what the in the Renaissance, where everything changed and all the foolishness. So it's just like the further back you go, the blacker history is, the more you realize, wow, we're incredible. Perfect example. I was doing research on Vikings and I looked at their weapons and I looked at their hairstyles and I'm like, y'all are African. Y'all are African. Because everything started in Africa. So it's just that, and this is the part I get to, with the power and proximity. Since everything started and came out of Africa, out of the actual nation, whether Kelbilan or whatever you want to call it, or whatever you perceive it as, if it all came from one location, why would you disrespect that location? Why? It must be its self-hatred then. Because if you from a culture, especially with creators, because every creator that creates something generally does research. They won't tell you, but it will show up. If you know where it's coming from, you will be able to pick it up. If you know it all came from one location in the world, why show disrespect to it? It's hatred. It's self-hatred. Because you have to realize everyone comes from that. So why would you disrespect it? That's why we need to respect it for ourselves because they know how powerful it is. That's why they infuse it into all of their stories. Like people were telling me at one point, I loved Avatar: The Last Airbender, and even though I didn't see African representation because there's Sokka, and other people like the Northern Water Tribe and the Southern Water Tribe, and they had some melanin, their eyes are blue, the hairstyles are different. But you know why that makes me laugh though? Because even though that may be true, that they may not have been African people there because they're living in the South Pole, in the cold areas. One thing I do know is Sokka had a war club. That war club that Sokka had looks just like the Iwisa that the Zulu warriors have. The war club, the Nabkari, if you look up that definition as well, it looks just like it. So it's just so amazing. And even when you look at Star Wars, Star Wars, I think it was the second movie, Episode 2, when they had the alien. She's literally speaking. Also, and they're actually speaking that. So for a split second, you'll be able to see it. She has on the Zulu clothing, the EC also clothing, the clicks, all of that. But they make that the alien. But when it's time to show like the white people, they're humans. Dragon Ball Z, Moors, Piccolo. And then you look at the Moors, same thing. So it's just like they know the culture, they know the history. Mr. Popo, Gollywog, like they know what they're doing. So at the end of the day, if it's mockery and that's what y'all want, that's fine. I like your story. I may not like parts of it, but guess what? I can learn from you, chew the meat, spit out the bones, and make something better. And that's what we do at Bold Saga. Everything about Bold Saga is about empowering kings and queens to seize greatness, empowering you to see the majesty of African culture. When I say majesty, I literally mean majesty. Like it's just so incredible, it's so deep, it's so magnificent. And the best part is that it's not always often told with respect. It's told with like pieces. Like Shaka Zulu only had one TV show. And the reason why they stopped it after that is it's powerful, it's incredible, it's inspiring. Like we need more of that. We need more stories that uplift us. That's why I love what B Minus TV said. When you read Bold Saga, it's a manga self-help book. Yes, a manga self-help book. Why? Because it's empowering. Like when I started Great Gale, that's the name of my business, Great Gale, back there. If you're on YouTube, it's right there. There we go. Yeah. So the point is that it started off as motivation. I did over 60 episodes of motivation with Daily E, and I'll just do, motivating and empowering people. And then from there, I went into graphic design and things of that nature. Why? Because it doesn't matter how disciplined you are. If you don't have motivation to help you kickstart it, you're not going to get far. Life is going to knock you down. And that's what you see in Bold Saga. It's about underdogs rising. It's not about how hard you can punch something and throw something towards the moon or destroy a moon or push a planet out of this place. It's the question of how many times can life knock you down and you don't give up? You don't give in. You don't let that pain destroy your dreams. That's the power of when you create your own stories and you motivate people. And that's what I do with Bold Saga because yes, it's nice to have stories that show, masculinity and showing authentic representation with a culture. Yes, it's nice to see other cultures and other people, but it's another thing to showcase characters that go through changes and never give up. Go through changes, and even if they feel like quitting, even if it looks like all hope is lost, they find a way to win, which is what taps into your second wind. That ability that when you're exhausted, when you're tired, when you feel like you can't go any further, and you still find the energy within you. It just comes out of nowhere. That comes from your spirit, and it just keeps you going and going and going until you get it done. Like I remember what my mentor said, I don't stop when I'm tired. I stop when I'm done. I don't stop when I'm tired. I stop when I'm done. I stop when the dream is done. I stop when the goal is done. Whatever it is that's supposed to be achieved gets done. You pace yourself, of course, because you need to live, but you need to get to the point where you don't give up. You don't give up because at the end of the day, someone's going to, in this life, have it harder than you and still find a way to win. And how do you plan to beat someone who's giving 120% and you don't give the same? How can you get to that level of greatness? It's like my mentor also mentioned. Um, Too many times we want to be a part of the mediocre many instead of the fantastic few. And the best way to be a part of the fantastic few is to actually get in the room with the fantastic few. Go to seminars, go to events, go to workshops, go to virtual events, and listen to people and listen to them and actually invest into them. Get things to help your mindset. Because I'm learning as a creator, you can't get to this books multiple success multiple if you don't fix this. If this is bad, it doesn't matter how successful you are. Like I remember that creator from Hunger Games, and he had an issue. I think it was either drug issue or something like that. He had gotten over it, he had gotten healed, but then something snapped and then he went backwards. And then he died with the what do you call it again? With the syringe in his arm. So the sad part is that if you don't defeat your demons will defeat you. And that's being 100% real. This is why you need stories that empower your mindset, empower your spirit, empower you to keep going. Because life is going to test you. The devil's going to send things that get in your way and actually get in your way and stop you. And the question is, do you give up or do you give into your focus and keep going? That's it. It's either you win or you give up. That's why I love what Les Brown said. He said, it's not over until I win. That's why we need more stories like this, stories that empower us to win, stories that show us that we can win. It doesn't matter what they said or who they think they are, who they say we are. We don't care because we know who we are and we're going to keep celebrating that. And it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but one day another person will realize, wow, they really are great. Because sometimes people will hate on you just because of the fact you're closer to the dream that they wanted than you wanted to be, and so they hate you, and so they'll put garbage on your name and they'll throw rocks at you. But you know the best part about people throwing dirt on your name and throwing rocks at you? You can use it for your purpose. See, the seed, what I love about the seed doesn't grow above the ground, the seed grows under the ground. So let them throw the dirt, let them throw the mockery, let them sling the mud, let them try and say whatever it is that they want to say about you, let them even try and stop you. It's okay, because you know what, all things work together for good to them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. It's all working for a purpose. All that dirt on you, plus the water, plus the pressure, helps the seed to grow, helps the seed to die to what it was, to become the tree that it needs to be. The mustard seed, one of the smallest seeds ever, when you plant it, it can grow into one of the biggest trees. See, great things don't start off great. This book didn't just happen out of overnight. It happened from a dream, one small idea. I love that. Either you win or you give up. I needed this motivation today. Thank you so much, Deli G. And look forward to more of this because I'm going to get back into this. This is how I started with Great Gale, and I'm going to reconnect with that. The power and proximity. This is how I started my business because motivation is how I got through. I've went through so many challenges where, like, and it didn't look like I was gonna win. Like suicidal ideation, like challenges, situations, mental, so many things I didn't know if I was actually going to get it. When I was in school in the Caribbean, they're like, "Oh, you're just an American. You don't even know our culture." They literally put me through a test just to get into sixth grade. And then when I finally got into sixth grade in the Caribbean, they're like, "Oh, well, you just came at this time. The common entrance exam is happening. We don't know how well you're going." My first day in Caribbean school at Sunnyside, I had 3 state tests. I don't know the culture, so I was able to skip it, but they literally said, you have 10 months to learn 6 years worth of knowledge, and we're going to put you in C class because they grade you based on your intellect. C class? Me? I hate when people put limits on me. Within 4 weeks to like 2 to 3 months, I was in A group. Why? Because I refuse to let someone say that I can't do something. I love what John Locke said in Lost. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. Don't do that. I'll show you what I can and can't do. Let me prove it. And by the end, the Caribbean teacher, Miss George, she was literally telling me, how you let you want to come and bang off you and literally pass you? You've been here for 6 years. He passed you in 3 to 4 months. Yes, that's how I did it. And when I went to college and I was failing graphic design, I ended up becoming Computer Graphics Club president. So I was president of something I was failing at. And when I realized that I'm paying for this and I'm paying for my mistakes, I had to figure out a way to get it done. And so I studied until I mastered it. Mastery is what I want to encourage you, kings and queens. The power and proximity, get to the point of mastery. When you master something, you don't even have to think about it. You just do. You just are. Master your art, communication, art, writing, creativity, whatever it is that you're doing, master it. Great things don't start out great. Wow, this is just incredible. Thank you, honest. Thank you so much, Deli G. And thank you so much for being here, kings and queens. This is what we do at Great Gale. We literally empower kings and queens to seize greatness. Like, that's who we are. That's what we stand for, because too many times people just want the money. They just want the profits. They just want to make things that are great. But I'd rather people become great because of the content that we put out. I'd rather you get a greater life than just watching Masego, who's on the shirt cover of this shirt and behind me, as well as Shawnee. I'd rather your life be better than you just have a great story. And that's why I love the way how I read Bold Saga. When you read 1 through 4, it will bring a tear to your eye. When you listen to the audiobook for Bold Saga, it will touch your soul. Why? Because it's written from here. I know what it's like to lose. I know what it's like to fail. I've had so many failures in my life. It's the grace of God I haven't given up or collapsed. Like, I've had it in Oreo Animations. Thank you so much for joining. And maybe you have too. Maybe you've gone through a setback. Maybe something in life has pushed you down and made you feel like an underdog. It's okay. I'm there with you. And you know what's the good thing I like about being an underdog? People never expect it when you rise. When you rise to the occasion and you get to that level where you supersede everything that they thought about you. And then they're like, wow, they actually got it done. That's the power of being an underdog, because you know what the great thing is? People don't expect you to win. So when you win, it's just phenomenal. It's just incredible. It's just the grace of God. It's just showing you that anything is possible. I remember what the president of South Africa had mentioned at one time, Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it's done. This seemed impossible until it was done. And then this seemed impossible and then it was done. Again, when I'm talking about motivating you and encouraging you, this isn't just like a my life is good. Like I'm literally in one of the greatest nightmares of my entire life. Something called the NOO. Like this is one of the worst things to ever experience as a creator. Ooh, just like that book falling right now. So basically, that big thud is how I literally feel inside. Like when I wake up in the morning and I go to sleep at night, I be feeling that. What is that pressure? What is an NOO? An NOO stands for a notice of opposition. And basically, everything you see what we do at Bold Saga, and yes, there's the card, empowering kings and queens to seize greatness. We literally have a case going on where someone else is trying to take the Bold Saga brand. So you see how we're talking about Bold Saga. You see what we stand for. You see what we respect and represent with our stories. Well, another company as of December 7th, and you can check it out in the link in bio, believes that they have a right to Bold Saga. Check it out. It's crazy to me. But you know what the great thing is? We shall prevail. It doesn't matter if it's today. It doesn't matter if it's tomorrow. I'm speaking into existence. We shall prevail. Why? Because we know what we stand for. We stand for excellence. And if you see and check out what they stand for and check out their story, you see what they stand for. But we stand for excellence. We stand for empowering kings and queens to seize greatness. And when you read our stories, when you see our content, you will see why. So that's why I'm putting out more content to let you know. Every time you support us, you help us get one step closer to fully owning this Bold Saga trademark, fully owning this brand completely so that we can continue to empower kings and queens to seize greatness. So any amount helps. Every time that you get a book, every time that you get any type of the content, sharing it, that helps as well to get the message out. See, Oliver's helping as well. He's barking. That's my dog. He's like, yeah, support him. But literally, like, this is what we do here. We're here to help you to seize your dreams and your goals. In fact, we literally have a book called 7 Steps to Creating Your Dream Manga Series. So too many times people will tell you about, oh yeah, this is what you do to get into manga. This is what you do to get into it. You just draw, you just draw, you just draw, or you just write, you just write, you just write. Like these books are what we usually get as creators. These are nice, but I'd rather you learn how to own the process. See that they asked a millionaire, how do you become a millionaire? And this millionaire who's African American, he basically said, own every part of the process. It doesn't matter if you can learn to draw and write if you don't know how to protect the brand, if you don't know how to own the brand. I literally show you tips how to avoid the NOO. They're the worst nightmare as a creator. You don't want these kind of problems. You really don't. You really don't. So I put this book together to show you levels of expertise to get your story done, to get your creativity done. Why? Books, in my opinion, will always be one of the greatest assets you could use. Why? When you create a book, you become a KPI, a key person of influence, not just a key performance indicator, but a key person of influence. I don't have to tell people too much that I do graphic design once I show the books because these books are graphic design. They become your business cards. These are great, but these are better because I can show you I have a level of expertise in what I do. So you become a key person of influence. Another benefit of you becoming an author, you become an expert in your field. People aren't just going to trust you just because they say or you say who you are. We need proof. Your proof is your results, and your results are your book. Again, Amazon built on books. Before they got into all these different types of things that they get into, all these industries, it started with books. Barnes and Nobles, books. You know, books help you because books are stories, and stories is humanity, whether it's oral tradition or one that's written or one that's visual. Story. I love what Jordan Peele said. Story is the greatest catalyst for change. That catalyst for change. Like I remember one time I was depressed and I read Bold Saga, and I remember what Masego's mom said. This is one of my favorite parts of chapter one. It's literally probably every time I read it, and even when I listen to it on the audiobook, I'm like, oh, that's actually real. It's the part in Bold Saga when Masego is literally saying, later, mom. And his mom was saying, later, honey, have a great day. And then he said, I wish I could, but I hate today. I hate going to work there. Every time I get to work, it becomes a bad day. And maybe your bad day is Monday. Maybe your bad day is Tuesday. Maybe your bad day is Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Maybe every day you wake up and you do something that you hate. Maybe you're doing something just because there's money involved and you have to protect and provide for your family, fulfilling obligations. But you know what I love what his mom said? Instead of saying, yeah, it's a bad day, something something. Instead of just saying it's a bad day and it's going to get worse, here's what his mother said. And yes, Misego's parents, Akachi and Makena Umnata, are in his life in a manga, a manga series, and they love him. And it's not like he's European. His name is Masego Umnata, so he's literally of African descent that you can see in the story. Here's what his mother tells him. There aren't any bad days, just bad moments. As long as you're breathing, there's a chance to turn it around. Turn it around. See, that's what you need more of, kings and queens. You need more positive reinforcement to let you know this is not a millennium of pain, it's a moment of pain. A moment of pain for a lifetime of glory is worth it. A moment of pain for a lifetime of victory is worth it. A moment, just a sliver of pain, is worth a lifetime of glory, of achievement, of excellence. Why? Think, we have days because we do not have an eternity of pain right at this moment. Like if you stub your toe, the pain will subside after a period of time. But if you just focus on the pain and the pain and the pain, you magnify it. See, what I love about life is you get what you focus on. Where focus goes, attention flows, energy flows. So if you focus on the pain, you're recycling that pain. You're literally just, rehashing it over and over again. And that leads to psychosomatic issues. If you read a book like The Power of Positive Thinking, you can see there's a connection between how you think and how your body reacts to that. So when you change your mind, remember what I was telling you earlier, getting into books and things to fix your mindset? When you change your mind, I literally believe the mind is almost like our own creative universe that's infinite. You can do whatever you want because of an imagination. It's so powerful. So when you change your mind, you realize this is only a moment of pain. This pain will pass. This too shall pass. So you know what the best part about all of that is? If I stub my toe right now, it will subside. If I'm having a bad moment right now, it will subside. If I'm going through loss or loss in a family, this pain over time will subside. Some types of pains, they will last forever, but you just learn how to handle it better. You learn to mitigate the pain. You learn to deal with the pain. So I'm telling you, kings and queens, I'm encouraging you, this is the benefit of a great story. It helps you to grow. And that's what I want with Bold Saga. That's why I love what B Minus TV said. This is a manga self-help book, a positive mental attitude book. Why? Just seeing a character punch a hole in the mortar, get possessed by a demon is not enough. Just seeing them being able to, summon the powers of hell and, pulling out a sword out of their soul is not enough. What does it mean if the character is growing in their life but you aren't? You know what I mean? You're having fun watching all your favorite mangas and animes, but you aren't. Wouldn't it be great if you actually got a manga or anime that actually empowered you to be a better person in real life, helped you get some wins in real life? I mean, yes, it's entertainment. Yes, that's true. You're having a fun time. It's escapism. But wouldn't it be great if your escapism helped you escalate and go up in life? That's what I would love to see. And that's why I love what we do with Bold Saga, because we're literally encouraging you. We're literally empowering you. And every chapter is educational. This is why we're not your typical manga. Like, these are just focused completely on narrative story, and that's great. More power to them. But with this is empowering you and your family. We don't do fan service in Bold Talk. I'm just being blunt with you. Excessive moments of crazy violence and brutality, you're not going to find that in this version of the story. So it's like, at the end of the day, you need something to uplift you. You need something to inspire you. You need something to take you to that next level. This is for you. I've had parents that read Bold Saga and said, I know this is for my kids, but I loved it. It helped me. It helped me. I've had situations where parents would be like, wow, it was so great. I read it to my kids and they were like, wow, I got it for my son and my daughter and they're like, wow. I've literally seen kids' face light up when they see the story because there's a hero on the cover like me. This is not a character that's black with blue eyes. This is not a character that's black with pink hair. Helen TC22, thanks for joining. So excited that you're here. We're talking about Black excellence. We're talking about power and proximity. When you have your children, your young kings and queens in the proximity of greatness, where they can see heroes that look like them, it empowers them. And on a deeper level, right behind the Masego is an angel. And what is that angel? Her name is Shineru. She's black. Not a white angel that comes to save the day. None of that. You need to see the majesty of African culture. You need to see heroes that look like you, even angelic figures that look like you, because if you just look at it from a wider perspective, when they have angels, they're white, and when they have devils, they're black or something like that. They have a actual statue about this, so that's what I'm referring to. You need to see heroes that look like you. spiritual heroes that look like you. You need to see these types of things because, as I mentioned before, there's power in proximity. You are what you behold, you know? So exposure equals expansion, like my mentor would say. So when you're exposed to heroes that look like you, when you're exposed to culture that empowers you, when you're exposed to see, wait, we did all of this? We made the Ikliwa, we made the Cowhide Shield, we made the Great Walls of Zimbabwe, we made all these kingdoms. And sometimes people like to say, oh, well, if you're African American, if you live outside of the nations of Africa, you aren't directly connected to these kingdoms. That may be true, but one thing I love about life is this: we learn too much about self-esteem but not group esteem. What is the difference? Self-esteem is, I think I'm good, or I think that, I can make it. I know what I can do. Group esteem is, I know what my people can do. I know what my people have done. I know that they were able to accomplish all of these great things. And the flip side, the negative of group esteem is the news, the media, the negativity. This is a gangster. This one's a gangster. This one's a stripper. This one's, killing. This one's twerking. All this stuff is changing the group esteem. And then the problem with a group esteem that's negative is other people perceive you as that. So then it's like, okay, well, this is the only thing the African people do is just gangsters are killing and shooting, all type of foolishness. Like, this is why group esteem is so important, and this is why culture is so magnificent, and this is what you get in Bold Saga. There will be other cultures in Bold Saga. It's not just only African culture, but it's centered on African culture because you don't see that in manga. You will see an African character as a side character or cannon fodder or fearful. The creator of One Piece literally said, and I quote, I hope that Usopp continues to be the weakest character in actually One Piece. I hope that is the case. I hope it stays that way. Literally, you'll have a creator whose literal focus is the hero that's African is when they look at him from a cultural perspective, he's African. And the villain that's actually African in this story, when you look at him from a cultural perspective, he's Somalian. So it's like you need better writing, you need better creativity, and the best way to create your own stories is to create your own stories. They literally asked, one creator asked another, he was basically saying, as much as I respect the things that you have created, I don't want to leave the perception of my kids to you. Because I know that if it were the other way around and you have children, would you let me define your culture if I'm not directly from your culture? No. No, you wouldn't. So at the end of the day, we have to take that guard as well as parents, as creators, as people that want to see our people grow and win on purpose. We need stories like this, like Bold Saga. And it's not the only one. We have one, two, three, and four chapters available. So we're literally serious about what we do. We're empowering kings and queens to seize greatness. But we're not the only story. There's other stories like the Watcher series, and there's other stories out there. So you need to see things of that nature, things of that magnitude. What had happened was series, stories that empower you, stories that uplift you, because life is always going to push you down. And one thing I know about life, it never gets easier. It's only you get better. Again, life doesn't get easier. You only get better. More challenges will come. More tests and trials will come. It's only going to get harder. But the best part about life also is that as it gets harder, tough times reveal who you truly are. They really do. Too many times people, like I remember what Jim Rohn mentioned, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Because life is only going to keep getting harder. But I wish that you would get better. I pray that you would get better. I encourage you to get better. Better at what you do, better at how you speak. It ain't about just working 4, 5, 10 jobs. You have to disconnect your revenue generation from time so that you can make money while you're sleeping. Because if you don't find a way to make money while you're sleeping, you'll work until you die. And I don't want that for anyone. I encourage you to be great. I encourage you to find ways to win on purpose. Don't just chase the dream. Don't just do that. Chase purpose and the dream will chase you. Again, chase purpose and the dream will chase you. This is what I did with Bold Saga. And I'm telling you, just to recap it, the power and proximity. Right before releasing chapter 1 of Bold Saga, I went to the Schomburg. I was encouraged by kings and queens who were able to win, and they showed how they were able to win despite their circumstances. Right after that, the pandemic happened in 2020. Right after that, a couple months later, my grandfather died. So it's like I'm going through psychological stress. I'm going through world stress, fear. But one thing I remembered throughout all of that, and I had to work on this funeral arrangement. So it's one thing to lose someone you love. It's another thing to lose someone you love, and then every day you have to wake up and be surrounded by photos of them. Like I remember it got so bad, and I was doing so many revisions. I had a nightmare, and I woke up out of my dream, and I saw him. Shaleya Rose, thank you so much for joining. I saw my grandfather, and he had bun, and he was coming through the door, and he was like, "Hey, who wants some?" And when I think about that, I woke up out of my dream screaming because I was so stressed out and I was so like overworked to the point I was doing all this work, doing all these challenges, but I had to realize I'm not going to give up. Like this is what I would want to do to honor him. This is what I wanted to show him. I really wanted to show him because that was when my life was finally starting to turn around. And this is why you can't wait for the perfect moment to release your dreams and your goals. You have to get after it now. You know why? Because I remember what Denzel Washington said. If you die, right? All your dreams will die with you. I'm being 100% honest with you. And your dreams will be around you on your deathbed and be like, wow, look at this. We were put in your spirit to go and change the world, and now we have to go to the grave with you. The richest place in the world is not the banks. The richest place in the world is not Fort Knox. The richest place on earth is the grave because too many times we're waiting on the perfect moment. We work jobs and we stress ourselves out, and we're saying, you know what? I'll do my dream one day. I just need a little bit of money so I can literally get to pay for my dream. But at the end of the day, the sad part is that someone literally said it. The paycheck is um it's basically what the wage that they're paying you to literally kill your dreams. That's the paycheck. It's the saddest thing, but it's to a degree true. Yes, you need sometimes a cash infusion to get you started, but when you live that way over your life, you get to that point where you're living comfortably, but your dreams are dying slowly. And Deli G said, "Wow, your dreams die with you." Yes, when Denzel Washington said that, it hit me, and it hurt me. And that's why I realized that even though my grandfather died, even though I had a nightmare, I had to give up. So I would, at one point, work on his funeral arrangements, work on his banners, work on his programs, organize the photos, and on the other side, still work on BOLDSAGA, still work on my health, still do like 100 push-ups a day. I was trying to do that because you can't be a creator and be weak physically, not like just weak mentally. You have to physically be strong because the amount of drawing you have to do. We're not trying to Karoshi over here, death from overwork, or get all the types of negative pain that can be associated with creating professionally. We want to live and live on purpose. So at the end of the day, I was working on his funeral arrangements, going through all the pain, going through all these challenges, and I still did not give up. I was working on BOLDSAGA day and night, drawing. My wife was my editor. She's reading, checking if it's good every day, getting closer and closer. Missed Juneteenth, kept going, missed all my deadlines. I failed my deadline for BOLDSAGA probably 15 to 20 times. In fact, BOLDSAGA was supposed to have taken 90 days. It took 20 months. In fact, the first chapter of BOLDSAGA physically that you see in front of me, I failed it 24 times and I refused to give up. Why? Because at the end of the day, greatness is upon you, but you have to unleash it. You have to unlock it. You have to get to that point. Deli G said, was not expecting this sermon on a Monday. Thank you so much, King. Thank you so much, Queen. I'm sorry. But the point is this. Thank you for being here. And thank you for everyone that's watching because it really means a lot. See, I know what it's like to fail. I've been dealing with that all my life, but I know what it's like to persist until I win. And I know what that's like. The feeling of releasing your dream and holding it. I remember when I finished BOLDSAGA and I finally got it done. This was after my grandfather's funeral. I was like, it's finally done. And then it was available. And then when someone read it, they were like, this is incredible. It's like shonenjump quality. I love it. That's what I love because the best part about life is when you work so hard for your dreams and your goals and then you achieve it. And then when you achieve it, you actually finish it. And when you finish it, someone can enjoy it. I believe that we were created to create. We were made in the image of the creation of the creator, which is God. And I believe that we were here and put on a purpose to create. Now, your creativity may not be art. It may be writing. It may be systems. It may be strategies. It may be coaching. Whatever it is, I encourage you to go out there and create. I did it with mine. I did it with my dream. And I encourage you to do the same because I remember what Dr. Miles Monroe said. It's not the fact that you haven't become a millionaire. It's the fact that you've had so many chances to become a millionaire and you've missed it because you didn't take action. And when I heard that, it hurt me because you don't know my life. You don't know what I'm going through. But at the end of the day, maybe he is right. Maybe there was an opportunity in the past that I missed to become a millionaire. And the same thing could be for anyone watching this. So I encourage you to keep looking for more moments and opportunities because the opportunity of a lifetime lasts in the lifetime of an opportunity. You don't have forever. Life is a game where you can't see the stopwatch. You can't see the scoreboard. No, you can't see the scoreboard, but you can't see the timer on the score. So you don't know how much time you have. There's literally a phrase that says tomorrow is not promised. So I encourage you today, kings and queens, go out there and live your dreams, live your purpose. Seek after the king, seek after the creator, and get to the point where you live your life on purpose, because we need this. There's nothing worse in life than living your entire life helping everyone else and you didn't actually get to the point where you helped yourself and finished what you said you were going to do. I believe we all have an ability to access true wealth, as well as wealth itself. Why? Because abundance is your birthright. I don't believe in a scarcity mindset. I don't believe in every time I sell my book, you're losing. If you sell your book, I'm losing. I don't believe in that. I believe in there's an infinity of wealth out there. Why? Because money is printed every day, but opportunities aren't. Opportunities only last in a lifetime of the opportunity. See, dreams aren't. Dreams only exist for as long as you have the ability to create it. And here's the worst part about a dream that people don't tell you, which is why I made BOLDSAGA and things like that, as well as the 7 steps to creating your dream manga series. Now, nobody may tell you this, but here's the reality. Dreams are seeds. And if you don't actually plant the seed will go to someone else. There have been so many times where I've had ideas dropped in my spirit, and I was like, wow, I should do this. And I sat on it and procrastinated. And then I look around 2, 3, 4 years later, someone else did something with it. Nobody's going to tell you this, but I will. Dreams, if you do not activate them, someone else will use them, whether forcibly or not, they will use them. So step into your purpose and activate your dreams. You don't have forever. You don't have opportunities forever. I remember what my mentor also said. He said this: gold is the currency of kings, silver is the currency of gentlemen, and wages are the currency of slaves. Again, gold is the currency of kings, silver is the currency of gentlemen, and wages is the currency of slaves. Yeah, people keep saying that the wage gap is increasing. Minimum wage is going up. Well, who are they actually looking at? The people who are paying they're giving the wages to, they're working them to death. You don't want that. I encourage you not to seek after that. For a moment of time, maybe you have to, but don't live a lifetime of that, 30 to 40 years. They literally talked about they tried to increase the retirement age in France. People starting to while out. Things are going to get harder. And I encourage you to find systems that can help you and your family. And Dilly G said, ideas are seeds. Exactly, Queen. It is. Ideas are seeds. I encourage you to plant your seed. Literally, when you read the 7 steps to creating your dream manga series, we talk about that. And the purpose of that book is to help you step into your greatness. If you go to the pinned comment, you see that. And if you're on YouTube, I'll put in the description. The reality is this: your ideas are seeds. You got to plant them. It takes time. The time that you plant your seed is at the same time as harvest time, but it will come. They said literally, any fool can count the amount of seeds in an apple, but only God can count the amount of apples in a seed. I'll run it again. Any fool can count the amount of seeds in an apple, but only God can count the amount of apples in a seed. So you don't know how powerful that one seed is. You don't. You don't know when you plant that seed and it grows, it turns into a tree that has so many other apples on it, that have so many other seeds. So this is why you have to master one, plant one, master one. Yes, it's true. Um, Jack of all trades, master of none is often better than a master of one, but you must first master that one area and then grow from that. So I encourage you, kings and queens, plant that seed. Plant the seed like everything depends on it. Plant the seed like there's no tomorrow. Why? Because you don't know. You don't know. You don't know how long this opportunity is going to last. You don't know who's also looking for you. This is why I love what Tim Fielder was basically saying. He was like, when you step into your opportunity and you actually activate your greatness, every time that you're finishing what you started, because I was like, how do you actually show Afrofuturism properly in manga? He's like, finish, get it done. Because as you get things done, George, thank you so much for joining. As you get things done, what's going to happen is you open opportunities for you. The doors of opportunity they open to you when you actually create, when you actually get it done, when you actually finish it. Finishing opens opportunities for you. Again, finishing opens opportunities for you. I've been on different podcasts. I've had different discussions with different creators of different magnitudes. And it all happened because I got it done. I got on some people's radars who are incredible because I got it done. And I was not afraid to step out like I am today on live for free, showing you just what we stand for at BOLDSAGA, just what we stand for at Great Gale, because try fried rice. You have to be able to see what a brand stands for, and that's what we're doing here. I'm not charging you at all for this. This is just me talking to you because we need to see the level of greatness that we provide, because that's what we stand for, and we need more of this. We need more of this because life is hard. Life is challenging, especially in the creative space. When I was at Towson 5, one thing one creator said was, it's so sad that we can go to other creators of other ethnicities, like white people and other stuff, and they will help us more than our own people. And that was an indictment on us as creators, as black creators. It's just that why would you have to go to someone else outside of your own community to learn how to do what we do? So that's why I made 7 steps to creating your dream manga series. How anyone can create their dream manga series while saving thousands of dollars and years of time. I literally give you so many strategies and systems. Every chapter of Bold Saga, in my opinion, is at least 15K in terms of investment, the time, the energy, the strategy, the money, all of that. But I show you how to actually, in just a $20 book, how to actually get it done. So on any level, whether you're a kid, whether you're an adult, on any level. And why is manga so important? We all know animation is incredible. Medium. If a photo can tell, if one word is worth 1,000 words, or one photo is worth 1,000 words, video is worth millions and billions of words. So attention is the new oil. If you can keep someone's attention, like how I'm talking to you now, through animation, you can win. Your brand wins. You stand out. You can make millions of dollars. The number one media franchise is not Fox or some other company, Pokemon. So at the end of the day, these multi-billions of dollars in wealth is around animation. Who is the one who's leading animation right now? Anime. What is the fuel of anime? Manga. What is manga? Books. I literally watched The Last Kingdom yesterday. Magnificent series, 5 stars, beautiful writing. What did it start as? Books. 12 to 13 books. If you want to activate your wealth, I encourage you to get into creating books. Is it easy? No, but is it worth it? Yes. Yes. So again, kings and queens, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, Deli G, and thank you so much every other king and queen that's been on this live, on the YouTube. Everyone that's watching, thank you so much. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube or watching the replay, thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, share this. Let me know how this blessed you. Watch your series. Literally said this really blessed me, bro. Thank you so much, King. Thank you so much, because we need more of this. We need more of this. You know why? I remember that phrase from Last Kingdom yesterday. We said, I thank God for the fact that God did not give me a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. I encourage you all to go out there and live your greatness. Have a great day, King. This is incredible. Thank you so much, Deli G. My goal is to have more of these. So stay tuned. Keep following our channel. Keep following our page, because we have so much more that I cannot wait to share with you. Until next time, keep winning, kings and queens. Have a phenomenal day.